What is up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm one of the hosts, Jeff Hartman, right here with the man with the picks, Pez. What's going on, man? How are you?
Snowy here, Jeff, in the
Yeah.
Garden State of New Jersey. We're ready for playoffs. I mean, we've got the Eagles green, Jeff. You have to wear it. You got to wear it every day. You got to pick up the fever. I don't want to hear about this Hurts injury, AJ injury. They're resting, Jeff. They're resting, of course. I mean, it's strategic. We got a bye week. You know, we were so good. We had a bye week this past week. We still took the cockroaches out with our C team, Jeff. Well, I don't even
Yeah.
know some of these guys that were playing, and things are looking up. Pez's picks. We're going to finish NFL and college football winning seasons. It's been a year we've been together, Jeff. We haven't had a losing season yet. I mean, so we're going to celebrate, Jeff. It's afternoon, but on Pez's picks, you got to celebrate when you're taping. So
There you go. Bottoms up.
happy New Year to us, and thanks to my Mexican brothers from Modelo, a great beer, Jeff. We highly encourage that. When you're celebrating Modelo, I mean that's the way we go. So we're
Yeah.
we're happy. We're happy. I know you're happy. Pittsburgh. We got a big week, Jeff. This is
Yeah.
it. This is a big week. We can't wait to get to it.
Please drink responsibly.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if
All
it's
right.
legal. Podcasting. Are there rules, Jeff? There's probably not rules, right? We could probably
It's the Wild West.
a
It's like
ritual
college
killing
football.
or something. Who knows? I mean, but
It's like college football. You do whatever the hell you want.
oh my God, I just can't take it, Jeff. I can't. There are guys that are signing and leaving the day of some of these tournament games. I mean, what's going on here? We've seen
I don't
this
know.
high school sports. We saw this, Jeff, where allegiance became to the individual athlete. My private team is more important than my high school team, and I think we're seeing that in college now, and it's a detriment to, I think, sports and sports in general. And I hope they figure it out, Jeff. We need to lock this thing down.
Well, let's take a look at our picks, and let's take a look at last week. We might want to know in the NFL. We'll talk about that. 0-2 in college. Let's start with college, because college was the bane of our existence early this year. We did rebound all the way to a 31-27 season record in college football. Not bad, and we finished the year extremely strong. But Ohio State and Penn State have started to turn things around, and now all of a sudden we have. I really do like. I like the playoff games coming up. I think it's going to be fun. These are household names. These are brand teams. Let's go back to last week, though. What did you think about the college games last week?
I don't know, Jeff. I mean, who in the right mind thought Notre Dame would smoke Georgia, right? Who thought Georgia's going to put up 10 points? I mean, who thought Ohio State's going to blow the doors off of Oregon? With Texas, Arizona State, Texas no cover again.
That was a
And
great
those
game, though.
great game, Jeff. Great game, and I'm happy for Texas. Who knows with this college football, right? And you wonder a little bit. Not to be conspiracy theory here, Jeff, but Penn State, those dogs up there in Penn State, they had the easiest run of anybody, Jeff. Boise State, SMU, we're still selling Penn State, Jeff. We're still selling that team. I figured it out. I think so far, I think we're 3-2 on the season, and we've bet against Penn State every time. I still have question marks about that team and that coaching, and we'll be addressing that later, Jeff. But I don't know about this college playoff format. I don't know if we're getting our best football out of each other. Has this been? Is it too small a tournament? I don't know. And I think the biggest distraction, and I think it's hurting these chalk teams. Who's on the team today? But can you imagine coaching at Georgia, at Texas, at Ohio State, Oregon, where they're waking up each day, the coaches, and they're checking with the assistants. Do we still have these guys? It's legal to steal players the day of games. I never heard of it, Jeff. I think Nick Saban was right. He said it a few months ago on the pregame on ESPN. He said, I'd like a council and oversight. And Pat McAfee said, we need to go with you, right? We need to have you as the chairman. We need a salary cap. We need dates. We need firm roster date lines. They're changing. This is like a crappy fantasy football league, Jeff. They're making changes during the playoffs. I never heard anything like it. So, no excuses. We're going to finish a winning season regardless if we go 0-3 in these last 3 games. But I think we're dialed in, Jeff. I'm feeling good about it.
So let's talk about this slate of games. We'll just talk about college football, and then we'll go back to the NFL Week 18, and we'll get ready for that wild card game, the games coming up in the wild card round of the playoffs. But Thursday night, January 9th, the same day that this podcast is being released, we have number 6 Penn State versus number 7 Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. This is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. What is the current line that you have on this game?
So right now, Jeff, we have Penn State getting right now a point and a half, which was
Okay.
the opening line. And I think that should tell us something. Notre Dame, I think, snuck up on us. I have a friend I talk to a lot. He claims Notre Dame's the most selfish team in the history of sports, not in the conference, et cetera. But uh, we're taking Notre Dame, Jeff. Let's just get to the point here. We are taking Notre Dame. If you watch these games, Notre Dame, more than probably we gave them credit for this year, a dynamic playoff. That they beat Georgia in an amazing fashion. They beat an upstart Indiana team. Coach of the year from Notre Dame. This guy's got the kids playing. They seem loyal to the program and each other. God knows how much they're getting. I mean, imagine Notre Dame's NIL money, Jeff. Imagine the resources this coach has to pay these guys and keep them in practice. And your second, third string guys you need. When we look at a body of work, aside from a typo, Jeff, if we go all the way back to September, Northern Illinois, Notre Dame loses 14-16. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. Maybe the team had malaria. I don't know what was going on. But when we look at this body of work, Texas A&M, Louisville, they beat a good Georgia Tech team who I think was super underrated this year. They beat a solid Navy team, solid Army team, USC, and then the playoffs, Indiana and Georgia. But, at this point of the season, there's data out the wazoo on everybody. So this is going to sound crazy, but at some point, the data becomes so overwhelming. I don't think in college football you can trust the data as much. I think at this point, you have to go with body of work. When we look at Penn State's body of work, I mean, it's not impressive, Jeff. It's just not. Go ahead, kill me. You want to troll me on this, whatever it takes, Jeff. But Boise State and SMU, that's no Georgia, right, Jeff? So they lost to Oregon. They lost to Ohio State. I don't see big wins for Penn State. Maybe you say West Virginia. Maybe you say Illinois, who turned out to not be very good. UCLA, USC. Very few winning teams, if any, that they beat this year, Penn State. So, a solid team, sure. Did they beat a couple of upstart, playoff teams, SMU and Boise State? They did, but they're not the big dogs, Jeff, right? We're not going to compare Boise, SMU to Georgia, right? We're not going to, if you look at the body of work throughout the season, Notre Dame's is significantly more impressive. I think this line is generous. When we punch the numbers statistically, the teams kind of rate similar. We've got the 8th ranked defense in Notre Dame against the 6th ranked defense in Penn State. Both offenses, not blowing you out of the park, but consistent. I would say a better rushing offense in Notre Dame than we have in Penn State. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to come down to turnovers. It's probably going to come down to splash plays. I like Notre Dame's chances more in this situation. I got to believe they're a little bit more confident. I got to believe Penn State's a little overrated, Jeff. And we talk about gambling. At the end of the day, they just want to make money, right? So I think at the end of the day, this line is screaming to take Notre Dame. None of the Penn State people, I'm sure thought they'd come into this game an underdog, but they are, and I think that's legitimate. When we look at the money line, we can read a little bit more into that. You're looking at Notre Dame minus 120. So if you go even with no line, might be a nice angle to play, Jeff, because then you're not giving up the 2 points. You're only laying $10 more juice on every 100. So our play this week, 120 money line Notre Dame. So we're going to go into this game even. We're going to lay 10% more juice. We're going to take Notre Dame at the money line minus 120. I love this play. I love it all night, and I think at some point Aller's going to have some turnovers. He's had a lot throughout the season. I believe he's got 9 on the year. He has 7 on the year. So I think push come to shove, Notre Dame more talented. I think a better coach. I love him in this situation. Even money, minus 120. Notre Dame, lock it up all day on them.
All right, so that's an interesting bet there, and I think this is going to be a good game. And I think that money line is I like that pick. Now then we go to Friday, January 10th. This is another 7:30 p.m. kickoff, again on ABC/ESPN. And it's number 5 Texas versus number 8 Ohio State. I think you probably agree with me. Georgia didn't have a quarterback, so I wasn't shocked that Notre Dame won that game. I was absolutely stunned that the Buckeyes blew the doors off of Oregon. It wasn't even close. There was 34 points scored in the first half by Ohio State. No one saw this coming, which sets up a really enticing game between Texas and Ohio State. What do you think about this one? What's the line you have right now?
Well, the line that we're seeing right now, and this could change, Texas +6, and that's what it opened at. And, that's what we're going to go with, Jeff. And, before we analyze it, we're taking Texas +6, Jeff. I don't know how we could not take this, and I've been down on the Big Ten all year, and, it's won us some money. It's probably cost us some too. But when you look at Ohio State, they lost to Oregon by a point. So, maybe we overvalued Oregon. Maybe everybody did. Maybe that West Coast football, we talked about it last week. They don't have the dogs on the offensive and defensive line. I think that showed last week with Ohio State. Ohio State, somewhat impressive record this year, but when you punch through the numbers, maybe Indiana wasn't so hot. Maybe Penn State, that's a significant win. Tennessee, they dominated a good Tennessee team, 42-17. I just think Texas, at the end of the day, has to have the most talent left on all these rosters, especially offensively, right? I mean, both those quarterbacks might be the 2 best quarterbacks in Olsen and Manning in the country. Again, beat Oklahoma. They did lose to Georgia, Texas. They beat a Vandy team who was ranked at the time, Texas A&M. They lost to Georgia twice, but in the playoffs, Clemson, Arizona State, good wins. I just think 6 points is too much to give this Texas team. Sarkisian, solid coach. It kind of feels like their time, Jeff. And I think, when you look at the 4 teams left, I think Texas, has been there. They've been on the top of the charts all season. I like their chances against Ohio State. I think this is a tough game, though. Ohio State probably has the lean on defense. I don't think there's any doubt that Texas has a better offense. So, again, probably going to come down to a big play, a turnover. It is kind of a home game. When you talk about Texas, they're playing in Arlington. So you're giving a home team 6 points, not their usual stadium, but they're in Texas. So that crowd's going to be rocking. I love Texas in this situation. When we punch the numbers, when we look at, points scored, about even, Jeff, in defenses, believe it or not, about even. Ohio State only giving up 12 points a game. Texas only giving up 14. So, teams statistically about even. I'm going to give the lead to the team with, we think when we look at our system, a much better offense, a much better passing attack. I think they're going to be able to move the ball more. And, I think Ohio State maybe a little bit overvalued. I'm not saying that defense isn't good. That's a top 5 defense. But when you look at the teams they've beaten, not great offenses that they've come up against. I mean, Oregon, you could argue that last week, but they put up a donkey. So Texas Longhorns +6 at home. I love that all day.
All right. So we'll see how we do in the semis and getting ready for the national championship game. And that game, just for those that are curious, the national championship game is not until the 20th of January. So they give them a week off.
It's like Super Bowl, Jeff. Wait. I do like the Thursday-Friday game, right? That's one thing college got right. Thursday night, big-time football. Friday night football is fantastic. The NFL should adopt this, Jeff. We should have a Friday. To hell with this Thursday game. Let's go Friday night football. And people tell me, well, you're stepping on high school toes. High school? Who's high school football, Jeff? If you have a kid playing in the game, you're going to the game. If not, you're home watching the NFL. So let's get back to Friday night.
There's actually a law in place that states that after Labor Day, the NFL cannot play games on Friday, and that's why the Eagles playing the Packers in Brazil was a Friday game. It was before Labor Day, and that's why
in Brazil, Jeff, right? So in Brazil, I mean, there's no rules down there, so maybe this is why they flew them all the way down there. I didn't know about this law.
Yeah, it's an actual law. Yeah.
I mean, could we have more laws in this country, Jeff? I mean, we've got,
we've got
laws about everything.
I can't believe you're saying this. Like you're basically telling Coach KT Smith that he needs to go kick rocks, that his high school team doesn't matter.
Jeff, that game's over by like 8:00 at night anyway. You start the NFL game at 8. That guy'd be home watching the game. They start like 5:00 in high school. These are kids, right? you got to give them time to get out to the bonfire in the woods or whatever the hell they're doing in high school.
Oh,
I love Friday night games though. Friday night, I mean, they nailed this one. I hope we have two good games, and they need it. College football, it's anarchy right now.
all right. So now let's go to the NFL. The NFL, we were 1-0 last week. The Lions cover the 3 points of the Vikings big time. It was close early, and the Vikings certainly did screw the pooch on more than one occasion in the red zone. But the Lions cover. They cover the 3 points. And we have a lot to talk about the NFL from a season total standpoint, from a season totals, meaning the predictions you made prior to the season on the total wins that the books put out there. Let's start with that because you are getting absolutely ripped to shreds on Instagram by people saying that your record sucks. I'm going to read you a couple of these.
Great.
42 downtown. This guy hates your guts, by the way. He only chimes in when you lose. If you win a game, he never chimes in. Okay. He says, when you separate game totals from the rest of the NFL games you picked, you have done terrible at picking games. 56% on the NFL. So 71% on total. So what the game line is like 41%.
Jeff, I don't even know what this person is saying,
ahead.
Jeff. We have video evidence of every pick. We've got a handful of people on Pez's picks and our colleague Darren, the intern, who keeps specific statistics, Jeff, on every play. I mean, this person could go back and they could add them up themselves, Jeff. We're talking simple math.
Yeah.
These troll haters, as Donald Trump said, one of his wisest comments, could be a 400-pound guy living in his parents' basement, right, Jeff? So who knows who this person is?
Well, hey,
Jeff, to this hater.
You did a video for the Lions and Vikings, and I want to give people a little taste of what this is like. Someone, AJ Chadwick, 1968, says, many is the pick then because you picked the Detroit Lions. I'll take my chances with the 43%. That was a loss for them. Then someone said, there ain't no chance that's your record. Someone says, I'll take the over. That would have been a good play. And then someone says, another loss for you. The public ain't winning this one, pal. I hate to break it to you early. So you have some very loyal, we'll call them fans, especially on Instagram. Twitter has not picked up like your Instagram feed is. Instagram can be absolutely relentless for you. But nonetheless, any comments to those haters out there?
As an Eagles fan, Jeff, we're used to this. This is what we love, Jeff. We feed off of this. We wear the green. We like going to the away stadiums. We expect it, Jeff. We expect this type of, which I'm going to say is love, Jeff. I mean, these guys love us. They're looking to poke holes in our success. They're just jealous, Jeff. This is pure jealousy. I hope they're making money, though. They can make their comments. We hope they're making money. This is about money, Jeff. We're name calling in a gambler's world. Name calling that's something we don't even address. I mean, if you play poker, if you're in a casino, people say some horrible things, Jeff, especially the dealers. But at the end of the day, it's about the greenbacks. We're ending the season 60% winners. Anyone can go back and look at these videos and can add these up. Each week we update these stats. So I don't think there's any question in our math. For our preseason plays, Jeff, our season totals, our wins and losses, we're coming in at 10-4. Going back to June through August, we went through every team. Some we didn't take, some we didn't. So we took 14 plays. We had 71% winning, Jeff. So whatever Cheerios, whatever these guys' names are, tell them go back, Jeff. Check out our Instagram. We did some from pools in Arizona. We did some in deserts in Vegas, Atlantic City. We did a world tour for Pez's Picks. At the end of the day, Jeff, we had Eagles over 10.5 win. Giants under 6.5 win. Lions, we took the under. We lost that one. Packers over 9.5 win. Saints over 7.5, just missed that one. Falcons under 9.5 win. Panthers under 5.5 win. 49ers under 11.5 win. Seahawks under 7.5. They nicked us on that one. Bills plus 10.5 win. Ravens plus 10.5 win. Steelers plus 8.5 win. Browns under 8.5 win. And we crapped the bed on the Titans, Jeff. That team ended up stinking. I don't know what happened to the den of Ryder, Will Levi. But at the end of the day, 71% hit. We were hoping to get there with the games. I think we undervalued Minnesota. I think that hurt us a lot, Jeff. I think we should have, we should have kind of ridden that wave a little bit. I'm still not so sold on them. And, when we get to that game, we talk about it this week. I wonder, is that I wonder, is Minnesota for real? I'm not positive yet, Jeff. I'm really not. I think Detroit exposed them a little bit. And, we talked about this to start the year. The league forms schedules probably to help some teams and hurt some teams, right? So the Steelers, that schedule, that wasn't made to help the Steelers this year. That end of the season, that last 4 or 5 games, that was meant to hurt the Steelers. So there are clearly teams that are given help. There's an algorithm. I mean, they run this season a million times on a supercomputer. So they try to come out with parity. And I do think they try to help regional teams. I do think, after Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody's going to go back and say the league didn't try to help them out with that schedule. Not that they weren't a good team, but I don't think they were the best team. So I think at the end of the day, we're happy at 60%. We're looking to get better in the playoffs for sure.
All right. So last week, though, any thoughts on that Sunday night game? Lions-Vikings, the Lions -3. The Lions win big in the second half. Any thoughts on that, or do you just want to move on to the wild card round?
Well, when Hutchinson went down, I mean, we're talking, about 2 months ago, it seems like. Yeah. They've lost a ton of defensive guys. And, I'm not sure what's going on there. I believe it's Aaron Glenn is the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, if I'm correct about that, former Jets player, I believe. A guy's done an unbelievable job. I mean, if this guy, if he's not a head coach next year, he's playing with 2 and 3 backup guys, second and third stringers. To hold Minnesota to 9 points with Jefferson and Darnold is playing the lights out right now. Fantastic effort. We cautioned a lot of people, Jeff, about this being a minefield. Some of those cautions came out. We put out on Twitter, to be very wary. Saints look like a dangerous game. New England, we talked about. Chicago, we talked about. Dallas, we talked about. Carolina, we talked about too. The last week of the season, in must-win situations, I believe the current number is 37% of the time teams win outright in must-win situations the last week. I don't know why. I don't know if they choke or if the other teams are playing looser, whatever it may be. It is a bad bet to bet teams that you think must win. And I hear this a lot in gambling circles. Taking this team, they got to win. They're going to win. They more than likely lose. So, that's an old betting rule that, you learn from the pain of losing, really, Jeff, but you learn from being around it for your whole life. And last week of the season, like my good friend Yogi says, you don't bet week 1. You don't bet the last season. We're proud of ourselves. We laid off a lot of action. And, we talked last week, Minnesota, Detroit. That was kind of like a playoff game. It changed the fate, probably of both teams. Minnesota to get to the Super Bowl now, I mean, that's going to be a highly unlikely gesture. We're Detroit. I mean, they're getting healthier. I think Hutch has a slight chance to come back, I've read. I don't know if that's recent. I read a couple of weeks ago. And I think that team's going to be healed up. And, we're looking for them to make big things going forward until they meet the Eagles. Great, Jeff. And that's going to be in a few weeks. I can't wait.
All right, so let's talk about the wild card round. It starts on Saturday. We have games at 4:30, 8 o'clock, a full slate on Sunday, and even a Monday nighter. Although I've heard the wildfires out there in California could potentially throw a wrench into those plans. But still, what games? How many games are you taking that are for sure? And then we'll talk leans after that.
But we've got 3 games we're definitely taking, Jeff. The one game we're not taking, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I got bad numbers for you, Jeff, on this one for Pittsburgh fans. Out of the last 16 times, a wild card team was a 9.5 point or larger favorite. The favorite has won and covered 13 out of 16.
Wow,
that is a huge number, right? And we're kind of looking at Buffalo in this same regard. Do I want to take Baltimore laying 10 points to Pittsburgh? Obviously not. That line tells me something. It tells me, that Pittsburgh, whatever it may be, that Vegas in the books and maybe Baltimore, maybe the league has seen something, maybe this wear and tear of this brutal schedule. I don't know. But I'm pulling for him, Jeff. I hate the dirty bird. Baltimore Ravens, they make me sick. So I'm hoping for Pittsburgh. We're laying off that game. No lean on it. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know if anybody does, Jeff. That line, pretty crazy to me. First game we're taking Saturday, opening game, 4:30. Chargers at Houston. We're taking Houston, Jeff. And at the end of the day, I believe Houston has 19 interceptions. I think Harbaugh has done a great job this year. Justin Herbert, 3 picks. He's not a 3-pick quarterback, Jeff. He's only got 23 touchdowns and 3 picks. So This guy, I feel like, has been kind of kept under wraps. In the playoffs, you got to throw the ball. When we look at the Chargers, when we look at their roster, they're coming in limping. We've got injuries at running back one, RB2. We've got injuries out the wazoo at wide receiver, left tackle one and left tackle two injured, possibly not playing. This team is coming in limping, where I think Houston, a little bit of a sophomore jinx when we look at what happened with the quarterback this year, also lost a lot of weapons. But I think when you look at Houston and, they come in 2-2, finishing their last four, lose to the Chiefs in a somewhat close one, got blown out by the Ravens. They did what they had to do against the Titans. I think if you can give 3 points to C.J. Stroud at home, Jeff, which is what we're taking, I think you have to do it. Chargers crossing country. I think it's a big exhale for them to make the playoffs. That was a big thing. I think for Houston, and I'm just going to say it, better defense, Jeff. Sneakily, when you look at the Houston Texans, they come into this game the 6th overall ranked defense, 7th against the pass. I think Herbert's going to struggle. They're averaging more than an interception a game, Houston. A lot of turnovers. I like them getting turnovers. I like C.J. Stroud getting 3 points at home. We're taking the Texans +3.
All right. Very good. What's your next play?
I don't even know if we have to talk about it, Jeff. Who's not taking the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Right now, laying 4.5 to a team we beat, starting the season. I don't think Jordan Love has been the same since we knocked him out of that game, Jeff. We kicked his ass that game. I think everybody saw that. We beat the hell out of that team. Green Bay coming in, leaking major oil. The team just doesn't look great. Lost to the Vikings, lost to the Bears. When we look at their roster, again, ton of injuries. Love's coming in injured. We've got injuries at wide receiver. Offensive line's a little dinged up. I just don't think at the end of the day there's any chance, Jeff, that the Packers have an answer for the Philadelphia Eagles offense. When we punch the numbers, we're going to be able to pick our poison, Jeff. Their defensive numbers, Green Bay comes in pretty good, but when you look at their body of work, how are they stopping our two-pronged attack, coming in healthy? Saquon and Hurts coming in on extra rest. I mean, for Hurts, we're coming in extra rest. AJ, Devontae, everybody got some rest last week. So teams that have dominant offensive and defensive lines, and I'm going to say the Eagles have the most dominant in the NFL on both sides of the ball, win these wild card games. I'll put up our offensive line and defensive line up against anybody. I think Jordan Love's going to be running for his life. Look for picks. He's got 11 interceptions on the year. That's a lot, Jeff. So Pittsburgh, the Philadelphia Eagles are a ball hawk team. I love them all day. If this line goes up, I'm going to caution people. I think 4.5, great number. If we get in the 5.5, 6 range, that's a lot of points we land in the playoffs. So at 4.5, we love the Eagles all day.
Are you concerned about Jalen Hurts? Because I still have heard he has not cleared the concussion protocol.
Well, Jeff, I think, what the rumors are. I think his finger injury is maybe worse than the concussion. I watched that game. I don't think that was a major concussion, Jeff. I think they're using that, and I think that's smart, right? Your brain, that's kind of tough thing to analyze. You can't put a Band-Aid on the brain. So his broken finger, I think, is a little bit more the concern. I think they don't want to talk about that, right? You don't want to know that a quarterback has a broken finger. So I have no doubt that Jalen Hurts is playing in this game. If not, I mean, that's major trouble, right? I mean, that guy, he kind of hit the ground more than he was hit. It wasn't some, wicked whiplash or something. So I have no doubt Jalen's coming in 100%. Saquon coming in 100%. Love them all day, Jeff. Love this game.
All right. Let's go to the third pick. What you got?
Our third, we're taking this one all day. Denver at Buffalo. I don't think Denver's beating a team with a winning record, Jeff. I forgot to check it today, but we're not counting the Chiefs, right? Because the Chiefs, they didn't play anybody. But I don't think they have a win against a team that finished with a winning record. Had a nice year. Bo Nix maybe a little bit better than I gave him credit for. But at the end of the day, how are you stopping Josh Allen and this team at home? We talked about wild card teams that come in 9.5 point favorites, and we're starting to knock on that door. Currently, the line, it opened at 9, so we're going to treat it like that. It's down to 8.5, so we're going to take it at 8.5, of course, Jeff. But big favorites, 9, 10 point favorites, wild card. tend to win outright and cover at an incredibly high rate, more than people would think. I think the weather is going to be tough, which helps Buffalo. And we're gonna ride Josh Allen until somebody stops him, right? I mean, when you look at what this team's done. I mean, they've beaten the Lions. I mean, they beat the Niners, who were down a little bit. They beat the Chiefs, Dolphins, Texans. They lost the Texans and Ravens, but earlier in the season. So, I don't think statistically and talent wise, there's much of an argument here. I'm going to say, an equal defense to each other. I actually like, Buffalo's defense a little bit better. I think those numbers are skewed because they tend to, they're going to put up 40, right? I don't think Denver is going to put up 30 some points in Buffalo. And I have no doubt that we're looking at high 30s to 40 some points from Josh Allen and this team. I love this. I think 8.5 is a discount. Josh Allen, lock it up, Jeff. This might be their year, right? I mean, the AFC is wide open at this point. Chiefs, Ravens. I mean, they're good, but there's holes in these teams that I don't think we had before. And I think Allen knows clock's ticking, right? I mean, this guy's been in the league, but pushing 6, 7, 8 years, I guess. So I love him in this situation. I love their mojo and what they're doing. Buffalo minus 8.5. That's a discount, Jeff. We're jumping all over that one.
All right. So those are the 3 picks. You said you had some leans. What were you thinking there?
All right. So, depending on how lines out move here a little bit, Jeff, I you got to caution yourself sometimes, and I think Tampa cost us a lot of money this year. Every time we bet them, Jeff, it was one of the 7 times they lost it. So I have no idea how this team lost 7 games. When you look at the quarterback play with Baker Mayfield, the guy's got 41 touchdowns in 16 years. I mean, this guy's lighting it up. 41 touchdowns. I don't know what's going on with that team. There are weeks that Tampa Bay looks like the best team in the league, and there are other weeks, they lose to the Cockroaches, Jeff. They lost 3 weeks ago. Then all of a sudden you see them, they lost 4 straight mid-year. I don't know about this team. They did beat the Lions at the beginning of the season. They did beat the Eagles at the beginning of the season. So I wonder, who we're going to see. They're at home. I think Washington traveling to Florida. It's a big culture shock. I mean, it's like 15 below zero here, Jeff. I'm in New Jersey, not far from Washington. I never felt it this cold, so I don't know what the hell's going on. My brother tells me when you're in Florida, if you're from the cold weather, it hurts you for a few days. You feel weak, and he tells me that's why people get drunk. But then again, he's a Florida man, Jeff, so I don't know if there's any science behind that. But I have a lean on Tampa. We're going to watch this. We're going to take a look at this. We're going to see how the action goes on Saturday. Monday night, we'll probably bet it, Jeff, right? It's Monday night playoff game. How can we not bet it? We have, in this game, sometimes Vegas, they're giving you hints, Jeff. They're telling you what they think is going to happen in the game. I think everybody and their mother is going to be betting the Minnesota Vikings only laying a point on the road. I don't think anybody gives the Rams any chance. I think the Rams win this game outright, getting a point right now. It's a strong lead we have. As long as we don't get murdered this weekend, Jeff, we're taking that game. We're taking it.
Okay.
We're going to put it as a lead right now. But I love the Rams in this situation. Stafford, those 2 receivers, the coaching, there's a strong pedigree there. And I think Minnesota is a little bit overrated. I wish it was outside. They're going to play in similar kind of conditions in L.A. But with these Flyers, who knows what happens with this game, right? I don't know. I don't know if they can move they might have to move to a different location. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I guess they could play in San Diego. I don't know, Jeff, but we'll keep an eye on that. And that's why we have a lean out on it right now.
All right. Good stuff. There you go. You got the college football playoffs, some NFL wildcard picks there for you. Make sure you check out @Pez's Picks on Twitter and Instagram so that you can get all the latest lines and so you can heckle the hell out of this guy when he screws up.
Bring it, Jeff. Bring it. If we were losing, Jeff, we would be a little hurt by this, but winners love to be attacked. Everybody loves a winner, but I love hating winners, Jeff. Everybody loves it. Nobody makes fun of the loser. So we love it. We welcome it. And I look forward to this weekend. Big weekend. Are you a Buffalo wing guy, Jeff?
No, not really.
No, you're a health guy. I understand. I go full Buffalo wing, the hottest they have, Jeff. And, I got a little tidbit for some people out there. Trader Joe's, Jeff, their habanero hot sauce. It's hard to find in that store. They usually have it on a rack where it shouldn't be. The cheapest and best hot sauce you can find in America. Pez's Picks is putting its highest 100% value on display. Trader Joe's habanero sauce. It's like $1.99. Fantastic. If you like it a little more mild, tapatio, a kind of insider Mexican hot sauce, or Cholula, Jeff. That's what we call gringo sauce. But Trader Joe's habanero, get it on your wings this weekend. Be a man, spice it up. Let's go crazy. Let's go Birds.
All right, enjoy the games, Pez. We'll talk next week. Take it easy.
All right, later.